Welcome to another episode of WTF Cinema.
Hey everybody, welcome back to WTF Cinema. Now, regular viewers may have noticed that in general I try to keep things PG, family friendly, and that's just a desire to appeal to as broad an audience base as possible. It's a personal preference, not a lot of swearing, no nudity, that sort of thing, and because of that, there was a lot of debate between me and me, so the entire cast of the show, as to whether or not to do this episode. Because the movie revolves rather heavily around sex. But it's also one of the most bizarre and strangest things I've ever seen. And so I felt it was my duty to go ahead and make this episode. So, a brief warning, any of you who may be offended by adult content, this may not be the episode for you. Now, I'm not going to go all out and start using fun euphemisms for everything, but there will be penises, and there will be vaginas. They will be talked about. So, tune out if you want to. Otherwise, hang on to your hats, because this is... I may have put in X-Men by mistake.
I was born with 7 clits.
Okay, so this movie is taking absolutely no time to get down to business. That was our main theme of the movie right there. Our main character has mutated genitalia and a sex drive to go with it. That's the movie. Good night. You guys probably want me to finish reviewing this, huh? Fine.
7 that I can feel and touch. 7 separate clitorises, each one.
And here's one of the biggest issues with the film, besides everything in it. You remember how in the Doom generation, the director decided the movie would be a lot more interesting if we couldn't see anything that happened? Well, apparently in the editing stage of this film, the sound mixer decided the movie would be a lot more interesting if we couldn't hear any of the dialogue. Apparently, a scene is a lot more suspenseful if you have no clue what anybody's saying. So, because of her libido, she decides to go home with this dirtbag and have crazy mutant sex with him. And then this happens. She later explains that because of her hyper sex drive, a lot of the men that she has sex with die during the process. Honey, we just watched you have sex. We were there. We were in the room. We watched it happen. That man did not die because of your sex drive or your mutated vagina. He died because you took his head and you repeatedly slammed it against the floor until he was dead. That's not a side effect of mutation. That's murder. My advice is to not repeatedly slam their head against the floor until they die. Then they probably won't die as much. Shortly after sex, she has to run into the bathroom so that she can give birth. You heard me. Luckily, she takes a moment to break the fourth wall and explain to us why it's okay that she abandons her kids. See, they're not real babies because she gestates them and gives birth to them in like a couple of hours. So they're half finished. They're uncooked, So they're not like real kids. So it's okay for her to abandon them. So, the biggest drawbacks to your sex drive and your mutation is people dying and giving birth to half-grown fetuses. I got the solution for you here. 1, stop killing people. 2, use condoms. It'll probably save you from the massive sexually transmitted diseases well, to be fair, you probably already have them. Trust me, I'm doing you the biggest favor in the world right now. The CGI half-grown fetus is a terrifying sight. It is pure nightmare fuel. Say whatever else you want to about this movie, they did this special effect well because it's horrific and horrifying, and I am sparing you that. Also, her whole thing about them only being half-grown, ignoring the fact that we can see her stomach before she gives birth to every one of them, and there's no room for the baby because it's the size of a baby. There's no room for that thing to have come out of her. Ignoring that, the thing's crying. They always cry. They come out, they start crying. Isn't that a sign of life? Doesn't that mean it's breathing? It's alive? So, her explanations aside, she's just abandoning disfigured babies all over the city. And being a serial killer. This is our main character. After a day of the most unrealistic photo shoot I've ever seen, she decides to go home with Riff Raff here. Luckily, he finishes very quickly and runs away.
Time is fleeting.
And I really feel like this is a message for all the fellas at home. Guys, when you take a lady out, make sure to finish your business quick and run away. It may just save your life. A lot of the movie is filled with her self-aggrandizing sexual philosophy monologues. It's basically how she believes that she's not a genetic freak. She was designed to be the next stage of human evolution. She's better than any normal human being. She's superior to the rest of us, and sex is her fuel, and yada, yada, yada. Skipping all of it's going to make this review pretty short. Okay. I've seen a lot of movies. But I can confidently say that's the first time I've ever seen that particular shot. And hopefully the last. Again, dear, that's not your sex drive or your mutated vagina killing somebody. That's you straight up murdering somebody. You're a serial killer. And here's our male main character. Can you guess what his issue is? I sense a love connection.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think I turned this place into a club. I don't really want people coming in and...
You don't want to...
Okay, you want to turn your house into a club, but you don't want any people there. Leaving apart the potential zoning issues with trying to turn a house in a residential neighborhood into a club, because he brings this up a good 5 times throughout the movie. Not that he ever does anything about it. It just keeps getting said, and it's weird. You do realize that one of the key rules of your house being a club would be having people in there. Now, while our guy, whose name I don't think we ever learn, is getting his hands on some black market goods, but high-tech drugs, like, it's all male enhancement, pharmaceutical, it's first penis. While he's doing this, there's a nice 15-minute scene of this coked-up white trash girl crawling around demanding to know where her Jimmy Jig is. And a guy who I assume is her boyfriend saying, I don't know what a Jimmy Jig is. What are you looking for? Repeat that for 15 minutes. She never finds the Jimmy Jig. We never learn what it is. And the characters never show up again. None of it has anything to do with the plot. It is the most egregious use of padding I've seen in quite some time. It's obnoxious, it's annoying, and it serves no purpose. It's kind of a microcosm of this movie. Now, because he has this insane monster penis, he has to use this very special device in order to pleasure himself. Fellas, I don't know about you, but I am never sticking my penis inside anything filled with dishwashing soap and metal. That doesn't seem like it'd be safe or fun. Now, our 2 main characters finally collide as she does a photo shoot at his house. I can't show you the photo shoot, because the photo shoot consists of members of a rap band posing with topless chicks who are wearing vagina masks on their heads, so their head is a giant vagina. It's kind of a disturbing visual image. I'm sure if you Google it, you could probably find it. I don't recommend Googling it. I don't recommend finding it. Trust me, Now, Our Lady spies on the guy and finds out his secret about his monster penis, and so now she's obsessed. She must have this penis. Now, normally a chick trying to have sex with a guy is a pretty straightforward arrangement, especially if the chick is even remotely attractive. It's not that entailed. You know, she walks up to him and says, "Yunt to?" And he'll say yes. But this process actually takes her a couple of days. She stalks him and hides and watches him for a while before approaching him. I'm not sure why. Because everybody else she met, she hopped into bed with him that night. While sneaking around and spying on him, she witnesses him hiring a hooker. And more importantly, she witnesses the after effects of him hiring the hooker. You see, after he has sex with the hooker continues to orgasm. Forever. Eventually, he gets so fed up with this girl that he's done with, laying on the bed, orgasming over and over and over again. He just takes the body and dumps it in an alley somewhere. Still, at least she seems to be having a good time in the alley. Tragically, the night before our main female can seduce our main male, God, I wish I knew their names, the guy's penis takes off on its own. That's right. The penis detaches itself from the body without any physical distress and starts crawling around, which means it's got a heart of its own, right, to maintain circulation, I guess, although maybe a penis doesn't need circulation, it just needs to store it. But it would at least need a brain, right? His mutant penis has a brain so that it can crawl around on its own. There's a little bit of backstory on this whole wandering penis thing. You see, he had a botched circumcision as a kid. And so he dedicated most of his teenage and adult years to finding a way to restore his penis to life. As I think anybody would. That's not sarcastic. I think, you know, any one of us guys who lost use of his penis as a child would become a doctor. It really makes sense. Unfortunately, all of the drugs he pumps into it had the effect of bringing it to life and giving it a life of its own. Not only does it work, but it's a monster!
Penis is evil.
You know, that clip actually makes more sense here than it did in Zardoz. And so the penis begins to go on a raping spree through the neighborhood, as penises do. And now we're coming up to our finale. After arguing with the girl that his penis is gone and he can't have sex with her, they actually discover the penis dying in the back room of his house. The girl, thinking quickly, because all she wants in life is that penis, regardless of who it's attached to, and especially now that it's attached to nobody, she actually gives the penis CPR, which I can't show you, but it's one of those things that, you know, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. She finally manages to revive it enough to have sex with the penis. While she's having sex with the penis, she has a revelation. She believes that she was put on this planet, specially designed and prepared, so that she could have sex with God. That's it. She has sex and becomes convinced that she should have sex with God. I'm really not sure what to do with that one. She then gives birth to another freak, and the camera pans aside to show us that while she was having sex with the penis, the guy died. She didn't kill him this time. He just, like, had a seizure and foam coming out of his mouth for no reason related to anything that I could tell, and then he died. You'd think the fact that his penis ripped itself off of his body and crawled around would have killed him, but no, he died for no reason. And that's the end of the movie. No conclusion, no real finality to the story. We're pretty much ending right where we started. For a movie about sex, the writers seemed like they forgot to include a climax to this film. I can't really help you beyond that. It's a bizarre little movie. It's not even like the Doom Generation, where the characters try to spout philosophy to sound deep, because the philosophy this girl spouts really only pertains to her and her mutant vagina. It's really just how she sees herself and her place in the world, which is odd. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You can't extrapolate it into your own life. You can't do anything with it. When the movie ends, she's exactly where she was when the movie began. So nothing happened. I mean, the guy died, but we didn't know him when the movie started, so his penis could still be alive. We don't know. This movie's nothing. Nothing happens. It's not even good masturbation material. There's some nudity in this, but trust me, guys, it ain't worth it. It's just not. In conclusion, I saw the movie. You don't have to. That's all I got. Sorry.
Thank you for watching WTF Cinema. Until next time, what the f***, man?